Yeah, fine, Aman. So I hope you remember in last class we covered like what is Python and what are the different features of Python, and also we covered like how to install the Python and PyCharm and how to execute a sample program in the Python. That is what so far we completed. So today I will tell you some of the foundational concepts which are basically required to write a simple program. I can say that. So like if you want to write a hello world or if you want to do the sum of the two numbers in Python. So some foundational concepts we require. So that I will teach you in today class, and it may consist like a kind of basic concepts like what is variable and what are the different data types which are available, and what are the what we can say that what is input and output statement, and what are the comments we will generally used in the Python, and if time permits also I will spend some time with different operators which are available in the Python. So these are the few basic concepts or foundational concepts we will cover today. So based on our availability, I mean the time availability, will extend the class. Okay, so that is the planning of action. Okay, so now first we'll go through one by one concept, then we'll start even programming concept, basic programs also. Okay, so you can understand easily. So the first point is here, as I mentioned, whenever we are writing any program, see any application or any big program, small program, so some foundational concepts we require. So out of the first foundational concept is basically a variable and data types. Okay, so variable and data types. So these are the two things commonly used. Why? Because whenever we want to start a program, first we require to store the information, or first we want to require to store the data which is required to process in our program. So for that we require variables basically. So what do you mean by variables? A variable is a place of memory. So basically it is a space or a memory area. So where we can store the information. It's not like value, or it's not like something fixed. So that's why we call variable is always varies or change the actual value at the time of execution. So that means initially you can store some 10, after that you can replace with 20 or 30. So there's no rigid rules to constant the value. So that is the basic nature of variable. So first thing, a variable is a place of memory. So it's not like a value, it's a place of memory, I can say that. So where we can store our data. Okay, so here where we can store our data. Okay, so now the second important point is the variable value always. Okay, so variable value always changes. Value always changes, or the value can be modifiable at the time of execution, I can say that. So variable value can be editable at the time of execution. Okay, so that means whatever the values we are storing in the variables, that can be modified and that can be replaceable. Like example, if you see, I'm taking one example. Let's take initial I given a equal to 10. Okay, so now I can also write a equal to 20 also. There's no rule to that. A will be always 10 only. Okay, until unless it becomes constant. So here if you see, the finally what is the a value means, it will be 20, not the 10. Okay, so likewise the values what we want to use as part of the program, that we can store in a variable, and by the name of the variable we can use the respective values in the program. Okay, that is the idea of the variables basically. As I mentioned in the last class, if you remember, Python is a dynamically typed language. Okay, so what it is, Python is a dynamically typed language. So basically Python is a dynamically typed language. Okay, so what it means are, whenever you are writing any variable, you don't need to declare that variable externally. So generally, if you remember, in any other language, if you want to write a equal to 10, before that you should write int a basically. Okay, but in Python it doesn't require any anymore, because Python is purely dynamically typed. It means that whatever the variable you are using, so based on the value which we assigned. So in this case, we assigned a equal to 10, right? So by default, the system will understand a as an integer. You don't require externally define it as an integer. So that is one good advantage in Python to define the variables or the data, because it is easy to write the program, and also you don't require to, or you don't bother about what are the values or variables we are using. So automatically system will take care of that part. So that is the one major advantage what we have in the Python scripting comparatively any other programming like Java or C or .NET. Okay. And the variables, whatever, if you observe here, so these are all dynamically I mean to say executable. That means you don't require to define the variable, and you don't require to define what type of data it is. So just by assigning the value, it can understand. Okay. So like example, if I want to define a string, so simply you can write sh equal to double quotes hello. Okay. Or if you want to define some kind of float value, you can define 7.5. So by the value, just you can understand, like x equal to, if I'm writing true, then you can understand it is a Boolean value. Like that, the variable, the values what we are assigning, based on that only the variable type will be defined in the Python. Okay. But externally you don't require, but internally there will be data types. So generally, you know, right, data type is indicating what type of value we are storing. Like example, if you see what value we are storing in the A, it is 10. So what value we are storing in the S, it is string, because we mentioned in the text within the double quotes. And in J, what type of value it is? Decimal value, that means float. So likewise, internally system will recognize and will store in the respective for data format only. It cannot, we cannot store int in the float or float in the int. That is not possible. But external declaration not required. That is only the point I'm highlighting. Okay, but internally for each type of value there is a data type. So what are the data types in Python? I'm listing out here. Okay, so we have different data types in Python. As I mentioned, so if you want to store the numbers, we have totally 3 types. One is int, another one is float, and the last one complex. So these are the 3 data types for numbers to store in the Python. Like example, if you want to store like rounded numbers like 1, 2, 3, we will use the integers. So if you want to store the decimal values, we can use the float. And if you want to store the A plus IB format, we can use the complex type. And similarly, if you want to store the string, so we have data type called string type and also char type. So if you want to store the character, CHR, and if you want to store the string, STR string. And similarly, we have another type like Boolean. So that is what we call true or false. Basically, we have 2 types. One is true, TRUE, and T capital, and false, F capital. These are the 2 values which we consider as a Boolean, and these are always true, false only. And the next one we have collections. Collections means nothing but in Java we can say arrays. So when you want to store multiple values at a time, these collection types we can use. Like example, list we can use, tuple we can use, or set, and also dictionary. So these are the different data types we have in the Python to store our data as per our requirement. So any of this data type can be used internally to store the data. And again, I'm repeating, no need of external declaration. That means you don't require to write someplace in float, char, something like that. It will be taken automatically by the system. But if you want to typecast, I mean to say, if you want to convert from one type to another type, definitely you require to mention the what type of you want to convert, like that is technically called as typecasting. So typecasting means converting from one data type to another data type. So if you want to convert one data type to another data type, definitely you require to mention the what type you want to convert. The system cannot do automatically one data type to another. Okay, like example, you have a equal to 7.5. Assume that. Okay, now you want to convert a into integer. Let's take, now you have to write int of a. So now what happened, the a, whatever the value we have, it will round the decimals and store in the b. So now finally b will be having 7. So likewise, each, not only int, see if you observe there, int, floats, str, every type you can use for typecasting, the same data types. Okay, for typecasting we should use externally, but for declaring or using the data, you don't require external defining the variables. So this is all about the variable and data types. So just I'm recapping once again. A variable is a place of memory where we can store some information to process the data in the program level. Okay, and the data what we stored in the variable can be editable or modifiable at the time of execution. And the next point, whatever the data variables we are declaring, you don't require to define the data type externally. Internally, it will declare based on the value which we assigned. So that nature only we call it a dynamically typed. And the next point, we have different types of data types in Python, like numbers, strings, Boolean, collections, and all together internally will be declared. Externally, you don't require to do any declaration. And finally, if you want to convert from one data type to another data type, yes, there is a provision to do that. That is we call typecasting. So typecasting is a process of converting from one data type to another data type, where we can use the respective type of the data to convert into the other format. So these are the basic intro about variables and data types. So do you have any questions? Please ask me. Otherwise, I will go to the next topic. So any questions till the point?
No, sir.
Okay, great. Now, we have another point in the variables. So assignment of the value, as we already know, so equal operator, I mean that single equal is always used to store some data. Like example, if I'm giving x equal to 10, so obviously x value will be the 10. There is no doubt in that. But there is other ways of assigning the data. Like example, if you see x comma y is equal to, if I'm writing 10 comma 20. So it means that you can assign the multiple values to the multiple variables at a time. That option also we have. Like example, in this case, if you see x will be assigned with 10 and y will be assigned with 20. Or else you can also assign like x is equal to y is equal to 10. So here, if you observe that, so these are the three ways of storing or assigning the value to the variable. One is, first approach is single variable, single value. Second one, you can assign multiple values to multiple variables sequentially. That means here, if you see x comma y equal 10 comma 20 means 10 will always be stored in the x, 20 will be stored in the y. The vice versa won't be happen. Similarly, if I'm writing x equal to y equal to 10, then it means that the 10 will be stored in x and y at a 10. That means x value will be 10 and y value will be 10. So these ways also you can use variables in the Python. Okay. And now the other point you require to understand is, whatever the variables we are using or whatever the variables we are here, I mean to say initializing, I can say the better word. Okay, initializing, the same variable can be used multiple times in the program. So like example, you see, if I'm writing x equal to 10 means the same x can be used multiple times in the throughout your program. Okay, so that is also another point you require to remember. So any doubts as of now? Any doubts? Okay, okay. None? Yes, someone speaking. Okay, fine. So the next point you require to understand here is input and output statement, obviously. Okay. So if I want to read something or if I want to print something on the screen, so mostly we will use the input statement and output statement. Okay. So output statement basically used to print something on the console. So here straightforward option, that is print. So here we will use print statement, use it to print something on the monitor. I mean to say, once your program execution completed or once you want to tell something to the customer to do some action on the screen, so for that we use the output statement like print. So simply you can use a print followed by string. That string will be displayed as part of your program. Okay. So similarly, if you want to print some value, let's take example, a equal to 10 is there. Now you want to print the a, and simply you can write print a. That's it. You don't require to use the double quote. So here the very simple difference is, if you want to print the text, keep the double quotes. If you want to print the numbers are variables. You don't require to put the double quotes. Why? Because if you put the double quotes here, let's take example, if I'm writing like this, the output will be A only. But in the first case, if you observe here, the output will be now 10 here. So that is the major difference when we are using the with double quotes and without double quotes. So with the double quotes means it will print as is the text. And without double quotes means it will treat it as a variable, and the value which we have in the variable can be printed on the screen. And also, if you given something within the double quotes, if we even though have spelling mistake or anything, it can print directly. It doesn't show any errors. But the variable which we are using as part of printing without double quotes, it will verify that whether the name is matching with the respective variable declaration or not. Example, at the time of declaration, you given A, but when you are printing, you given capital A or something B, it doesn't print out. Or simply, I can say that example, user I given as a, let's take Satish. Okay. Now, while I'm printing by mistake or whatever, by some reason, I mentioned user instead of US here, I mentioned simply USR. Now it will show error. That is USR is not found in the script. So this is what the without doubt. But the same thing if you mention in the double quotes, it doesn't show any error. It will print directly USR only. Okay. So that's why be cautious while you're printing the variables or data regarding the spellings or case, because Python is a case sensitive, so you cannot use uppercase, lowercase, vice versa. So that means in the variable, whatever case you use while you're printing or using that into the program, use the same case only. Okay, that precaution steps we have to take care while you're printing the data. And if you want to print multiple values, yes, you can concatenate it with like comma operator here. Like example, here A comma B is equal to 10 comma 20 is there. Now you want to print both the values at a time. So simply you can write print A comma B. Likewise, you can print. So the comma can be helped to concatenate strings. Like example, print, let's take hello and comma, let's take A. So now it will concatenate the text with what you call the number. So now initially it will come the A, let's write A equal to simply. So A equal to followed by the A value will be printed. So likewise, in print statement, if you want to concatenate something, we can use comma. But if you want to concatenate outside of the print, we should use plus operator. Like example, the same thing if you want to concatenate outside, let's take S equal to A is equal to, we should use plus operator followed by A. But here you require a typecast because string cannot be concatenated directly with the number. You require to typecast into string the number which we given. So what is the conclusion here is, if you want to concatenate two strings or two values directly, you can concatenate in the print by using comma operator. But when you want to concatenate separate as a variable, you should use plus operator. But when you are doing the plus operator, both the left and right value should be the same format. It may be 2 in the string format or it will be 2 in the int format. It cannot be different formats. But print can take multiple formats also. It doesn't care about the what is the type of the value. So is it clear the way how we will print in the Python program? So print statement is clear for everyone. So basically print is used to print something on the monitor. Any doubts as of now? Hello? Can anyone confirm?
Yes, sir.
Is it clear,
Hello.
everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. And now we will see the input statement as I mentioned. So input statement is used to read the data from the keyboard. So here, as like the name, the name also here input only. Okay. So input, like if you have some knowledge of C or Java, you can compare with like print is equal to printf. Okay. Input is equal to scanf. Similarly, in Java, if you consider, we have system.out.println, right? To the similar, we have here simply print. And similarly, we have scanner or our input stream in Java. So similar to that, we have input statement. Okay. So this input and print are inbuilt functions. So directly we can use in the program without importing anything, because these are inbuilt available in the interpreter itself. We don't require to import or install anything in the application level. Okay. And input syntax will be so straightforward, even without arguments we can use, or you can use input of something like enter value. Likewise, we can use. Now, whatever the input command we given, this can able to see by the end user. And once he entered the value, that will be captured by this input statement. But after capturing, you require to store some place, right? So for that, you can define the some variable. Like example, x equal to input of enter the value. Now what happened? So input of enter the value will execute and it will wait for user input. So until user given some input in the command prompt, I mean that console, it cannot move further. So whatever the input is given by the customer user, so that will be stored in the X. Now you can use X for your program purpose, like maybe processing or printing or storing someplace. You can use it for your actual uses. But the idea here is the input is used to read some input from the keyboard dynamically. I mean to say at the time of execution. For example, if I'm giving directly some y is equal to 10, so it doesn't require any reading after execution, right? So it is be called even static value. That means how many times you execute the program, so the y won't be changed. All the time y will be 10 only, because we already declared or initialized in the program itself. It doesn't change at the time of execution. But when you are using the input statement, the value which you want to give to the variable at the time of execution, you can give. So that is the advantage of input statement. So that means a single execution you can try with multiple combination of inputs. But whereas if you go for y equal to 10 or something static values, it will be always same for any number of executions. So that means it may not useful for your testing purpose basically. Okay. So likewise, we can use the input and output statements for our regular program purpose. Any doubt as of now?
No, sir.
And yeah, and here also one more point you require to remember, as I mentioned, typecasting. If you remember, the same applicable here in the input also, because the input function will always read the value from the keyboard in the form of string only, like str format. If you whether you give an integer, whether you give a float, or doesn't care about. So input always takes in the form of str. So that's why whenever you are reading some data from the keyboard in terms of numerical or other types, you should typecast them into respective data types. Your system does not do that. So that means external typecasting has to be mandatory for input statement. It does not internal typecast the respective types. So that is one drawback of input statement in Python. But we can achieve by simply using the data types what we have in the Python, like int of or float of. By simply using that, we can typecast. But you require to typecast externally. We don't have any option built in the Python to do that operation. Okay. So is this clear? So whenever you are reading some data from the keyboard, if it is string, you don't require to do anything. Simply can store in variable. But if it is integer or float, you require to typecast into other type, and you have to store in the respective variable. Any doubts as of now? So till the point clear, or any doubts?
Clear, sir.
Good. So we will see some basic examples then. So after that, we'll continue the remaining things, because once you execute that, you can better understand other things also. Okay. I hope everyone can able to see my pie chart. So if you are not able, please confirm me. You can able to write, everybody. Okay. So here you see last class I told you, right, how to create a project and how to create the folders and everything. So here in the Python programs is a project where I'm creating a subfolder called directory means folder, like basics I'm creating. Okay. So under the basics folder, I will create my customized examples to work with Python. Okay. Under basics, I'm creating a new Python, but it's not mandatory. Again, I'm telling it's not mandatory to create the Python, I mean that folder every time to create a Python file. So just to make it segregation, or to make it a folder structure, I'm creating the folder. That's it. So I'm creating a new Python file where I'm giving, let's take welcome. I'm giving. So now it will create a new file called welcome.py. Okay. So now what I'm trying to doing here, I just want to enter the username from the keyboard, and then I will say, hey, hello, welcome to Python. I want to say that. Okay. So now for that, first I'm reading the name. So name equal to, as I mentioned, input of, okay, enter your name I'm asking. Now after that, I just want to print, okay, hello, followed by the name, like example Satish or whatever Ramesh are coming. So hello followed by name. As I mentioned, we can concatenate multiple strings in the print. Now I'm writing welcome to Python. So after that, I'm writing welcome to Python. Like example, if your user given Satish, hello Satish, welcome to Python. It's giving the statement like that. Okay. So now this is the approach of writing input and output statements in the Python. Very simple approach. Okay. You don't require, see, like Java or Python, you don't require to write main method every time, or you don't require to write import something by default. It doesn't what you call needed. But we can able to write main method, we can able to write a class, and everything we can write. But Python is not always strict to something. Like it's a developer friendly, means with class you can write, without class you can write, with the main function you can write, without you can write, and with the function you can write, without you can write. So there is a no predefined rules to write a program in such like this only. You can write the program anyway. But as we know, in future, in few days, we can start our standardization. So for as for standards, definitely we'll follow the functional coding structure. But the point here is you can write a program in Python however you want. So there is no rules like that. Okay. So now if you see here, so now I'm going to be running. So right click on the file and now run welcome. Okay. Yeah, if you see, it is asking enter your name. So now I'm giving my name. Let's take Satish. Now entering. So see that. Hello Satish, welcome to Python. See the Satish is replaced with the name which we given from our screen wise. Okay. So likewise, we can enter whatever the data we want from the keyboard, we can enter and we can display. So this is how simply we can read the data and we can print the data. So we'll go with another example. Let's take, I want to do the sum of the two numbers. Okay. So now I'm taking sum 1. So as I mentioned already, so even we have a approach of static, like example a equal to 10 and even e equal to 20. Like this also we can take the input. There is no rule that always you should use input statement only. Like this also we can take and we can do some of the two values, and you can use the print statement to print it. Okay, simply. But the only disadvantage of this approach is any number of times you can run, you will get 30 only. See, you can run one more time, you will get 30 only. It doesn't give the other value because the values are fixed. But if you want to trial and error yourself from your code itself, then we can change this particular program to dynamic inputs and input statement. So that I'm doing another example. Anyway, before going to that, is this program clear? First of all of you, is this program clear for everyone? Did you understand how I'm writing and how I'm executing?
Yes, sir, clear.
Okay, great. Okay. So now similarly, some of the two numbers we did right. Now I will take input statement to read the two values and I want to execute them. So now I'm taking as a sum 2. And here instead of a equal to 10, I'm taking input of. Okay, input of. Let's take enter a value. Similarly, b equal to input of enter b value. Okay, so now I'm doing c is equal to a plus b. Now print c. Okay, so now I'm executing this program. So definitely the system will ask you to enter two values. See here in the console, if you observe here, enter a value, it is asking, now I'm giving 10, enter. So enter B value, it is asking now 20. So now what is our expectation actually? 10 plus 20, 30, right? But if you see here, the output is coming 10, 20. It's not getting 30. So as just before I explained, if you remember, the values what we are reading from the keyboard, it will read in the form of strings. It does not read in the form of numbers by default. So that's why if I'm writing A plus B, it is not adding, it is actually concatenating. So the 10 and 20 concatenated each other and the final output you got it 10, 20. So if you want to add them as a numbers, so you require to typecast them before perform the operation into integers. So that is what I explained before, just before. Like if you want to read something from the input statement, you require to typecast them. Okay, you require to convert it to respect to numerical types. So that is what we here doing. Like example here, if you see, I'm writing int of A and followed by int of B. So now the A plus B C equal to int of A plus B will get the sum of the two numbers. Now you see I'm running run sum 2. So now I'm giving 10 and 20. Now you see the output is 30. So likewise, you can perform the operations in the numericals. So whenever you want to do the perform the numerical values from the keyboard, definitely you require to typecast and you have to perform the operation. That is the what I want to highlight the point. Is it clear, everybody? Any doubts till the point? Any doubts as of now? So I hope you understand like the basic way of executing the programs. Any doubts? All right. Okay. So the next point generally as part of basics we commonly used is comments. Like whenever you want to describe the program or whenever you want to hide something from the execution, mostly we use the comments concept in the any programming language. Similarly in Python also, if you want to describe something which we written in the program, or if you want to explain something, or you want to hide something execution. Okay, you written some code but you don't want to run all the lines at a time, you want to hide something from the execution. So for these all requirements, generally we use a concept called comments. So basically in Python also we have two types of comments, that is single line comments. So single line is indicating by hash symbol. So hash followed by anything you return, it will treat as a comment only. It is a comment. That means the line will return in the, it doesn't execute. Similarly, if you want to write multi-line, means more than one line, you can use triple quotes. You can write something and you can close up something. So likewise, you can use the triple quotes or hash symbol to hide something in the program. Example, if you see here, let's take, I want to describe this program in a single line. Then you can write hash, see, it is a, let's take, it's a summation program. Assume that. Okay. So likewise, you can describe the program, but the line what I written followed by hash symbol, it will be part of your program, but it won't be second. It won't, yeah, it won't be execution part. Is this clear, all of you? See the line whatever I written is some ash color came, right? So this won't be executed if you're see if I'm removing this ash symbol, then what happened? It is showing error. But if I'm showing as, it will be hidden automatically. Okay. Likewise, if you have the more than one line, like example, you see here also some test program I written. Now you want to hide this also. Either you can write hash for this also, or else you can combinedly do at a time. Like example, triple quotes, and here also test after test, you can give the triple quotes. Now the entire things will be commented inside. Okay. Now let's take example, you want to hide something like, see, let's take example, you written something, some x equal to a by b you written. Now you don't want to run this line. So simply you can write, you can do the comment for this. So that's what I'm telling. So comments can be used in two ways. One is for describing or explaining the program. Another one hiding something from the execution. That means it is a part of code, but you don't want to run at that time or at that moment. So for that also we can use comment structure. Okay. So basically comments are used to describe or explain the program as per standardization. Okay. But it's always good habit to maintain the proper comments in your program, because if you have the proper comments, so other people or other developers who are working on the project or your program who are looking into, they can easily understand. Simply I can say that, let's take example, you written a very good logic and a very good implementation, but you don't maintain the proper comments, means the other person may not have same IQ or understanding of the program what you written, right? So they may confuse or they may not understand what you written as per your understanding. So these comments will help them to understand clearly what is there in the program and how it is helpful to make it executable. So such kind of information we can provide as part of the comments basically. So always it's good to have the comments in the program. Please do practice from yourself also. Like when you're writing the program, please do the comments in your program. Okay. So that is all about the comments what we have in the Python. So any other doubts till the point? Any other doubts? And after this class today, I will share along with the backup video, I will share the some Python tasks. I mean that say a simple programs like sum of the two numbers, subtraction of the two numbers, product of the two, like that. I will share with you. So that might be helpful for your practice. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Any other doubts? Any other doubts till the point?
Sir.
Yeah. So the next point, obviously, we may commonly use the operators. So I will cover only one set of operators today to make you to do the practice of tasks or basic examples. That is arithmetic operators. Okay. So arithmetic operators are all our symbols which are used to perform your basic arithmetic operators. Like example, addition. So can be performed by using plus operator just before we did it. And similarly, we have subtraction or difference, which can be done by using minus, and multiplication can be done by using star. So star can be used for multiplying two values. And another operator newly given in the Python is power operator. So we have a power operator also in Python. So that is double star. So means if you return 2 star 3 will give you the output of 6. Okay. But if I'm giving any place 2 double star 3, then it will give you the output of 8. That is 2 cube. Okay. So likewise, star is used to multiply the values. Double star is used to power the values. And similarly, in division, we have three operators totally we have here. One is by, another one is double by, another one is percentage. So these three operators will help us to do the division of two values. Like example, if I'm giving 2 by 3, so it will give you always decimal values. I can say that. So 1.5, sorry, 3 by 2. Okay, 3 by 2 will give you here 1.5. That means single by always will give you the float division. Okay, I mean to say float values as an output. But the same thing, if I'm giving double by, then it will give you one only. It doesn't give the points. So double by will give you int division. That is a major difference. Example, one more example I will give you. For example, 4 by 2, if I'm writing, it will give you 2.0. But the same thing, if I'm writing 4 double by 2, it will give you simply. So that is a major difference between single by and double by. The last one, anyway, percentile will give you remainder. For example, 3 percentile 2. So when we are dividing 3 with 2, what is the remainder? It will be 1, right? So the remainder will be coming as part of percentile. So remainder will come. These are the basic 6 operators as part of arithmetic. So these are all are used as part of arithmetic operation, like in division, multiplication, and subtraction. Wherever you require, you can use that operator, and you can work with your code. Okay, so that is the arithmetic operators. But along with that, some other operators we have, like example, relational operators, logical operators, membership operators, and also instance operators, and we have like bitwise operators. So these are all operators we'll see in the next class. Till the point, please do the understanding of these basic concepts, and I will share a few programs with you in our channel. I mean our chart. So try to start practicing of the respective programs, and if anyone facing any issue, please let me know. In the next class, I'll explain the respective programs. Okay, but start the practice so that you can get the point and you can ask me the doubts. Okay, and also I'll share the backup video along with the task so that you can go through that. Okay, so this is all about for today class. So if anyone have any doubt, you can ask me. And also one more point, today I will share the material also, like Python material also. I will share the chart so that you can go through the material also and you can prepare yourself also. Okay, any other doubt? Any other doubts or any questionnaires, you can ask me. Otherwise, we can round up the class for today. Hello? Okay. 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 In that case, I think it's good, right? Yeah. So bye-bye.